Stop everything. The universe might be playing us like puppets. What if I told you that NASA just rolled out images of a supposed interstellar comet, and everything about the presentation screamed cover-up? According to NASA, the object known as 3I Atlas is just another comet from outside our solar system. But listen closely to what astrophysicist Avi Loeb says.
And I must say that I was not surprised. This was exactly what we heard. Collection of images presented include fuzzy images that do not add much insight to the properties of 3 Atlas.
He claims we've got at least 12 massive anomalies that they simply didn't mention. Imagine jets blasting millions of kilometers in perfect straight lines. Imagine an object 1,000 times more massive than the previous interstellar visitor. Imagine it lining up perfectly with the ecliptic plane of the planets, making it almost tailor-made for every Earth telescope to stare at. So, what exactly did NASA show us? At the press conference, they unveiled a bunch of fuzzy images, new data from Hubble, JWST, and other craft. Yet Avi Loeb told a reporter, "I don't expect big news, and NASA will repeat the official mantra that 3I Atlas is a natural comet." And that's exactly what happened. We're diving into this cosmic drama, and I promise this. By 9:20, you'll be looking at the sky differently. Make sure you subscribe, and let's begin. The show and tell was dazzling, but the real questions were quietly ignored. At the NASA briefing, they emphasized, interstellar object from beyond our solar system behaves like a comet. According to NASA Associate Administrator Amit Karia, it looks and behaves like a comet, and all evidence points to it being a comet. However, what they didn't emphasize, that this object is far bigger, far stranger than any comet we've ever seen. Avi Loeb says the images are fuzzy ball of light, exactly what he predicted an hour before the press conference. The data? Incremental, nothing earth-shattering. The pressed message? Nothing to see here, just nature being nature. But when you listen to the footnotes, you hear a different whisper. Data showing hydrogen spectrograph detection, jets, multiple observatories. And yet, the biggest anomalies vanish from the narrative. The man at Harvard isn't mincing words. He says you're being sold a story, and you might just be buying it. Avi Loeb told reporters he didn't expect big news, and he wasn't surprised when NASA delivered little. He said, "We saw new data, but nothing major in terms of insight." According to his interview, they detected hydrogen via the MAVEN spectrograph, which implies breakdown of water molecules. They saw jets in multiple directions. But the big picture? Quiet. To quote Loeb, "One would like to analyze those images, yet the image quality doesn't look impressive to me." He also flagged a kicker. "I listed 12 anomalies about 3I Atlas, one of them being a very extreme nickel-to-iron ratio never seen before in a comet. So if the world-leading astrophysicist is raising his eyebrows this high, maybe you should too. What if the comet story is just the cover for a far stranger truth? These anomalies demand answers. Let's unpack key ones. Nickel versus iron ratio. Loeb points out the first detection had nickel, but almost no iron, impossible for a natural comet where stars produce them in similar amounts. Size and mass extremes. Based on current data, the object could be at least 5 kilometers in diameter, making it 1,000 times more massive than 2I Borisov and 1,000,000 times more massive than Oumuamua. Perfect ecliptic alignment. Only 1 in 500 incoming objects would be so lined up with the planetary plane, and this one was. A mirror setup for Earth's telescopes, collimated jets, and no rotational smearing. Amateur astronomers observed jets stretching millions of kilometers in straight lines, without the expected wobble from a rotating object. These aren't glancing oddities. They're red flags. Loeb says, maybe it's natural, but it means we don't understand how such an object is generated. Behind closed doors, doubts whisper, but the broadcast message stays tidy. NASA pushed the narrative, "It's a comet." A spokesperson said, "We certainly haven't seen any technosignatures or anything from it that would lead us to believe it was anything other than a comet." Meanwhile, social platforms exploded with anger. One commentator said, "NASA tried to track the object, and what we got was a great big smudge." Why this mismatch? Because when anomalies raise alarms, the easiest path is calm them down. Explain them as plausible natural origins. For example, those jets? Just dust or ion tail. The nickel anomaly? A different environment. The alignment? Chance. But the question remains, how many coincidences are too many? Loeb argues that science gains nothing by always explaining away oddities. We learn when we ask what they mean, not when we just say, "It's normal." This isn't just academic. It could rewrite our place in the cosmos. Here's the truth. If 3I Atlas is just an icy rock, then fine. But if it's something else, then everything changes. Loeb says we should include technological artifacts in our training data sets. If we're only looking for icy rocks, that's all we'll ever find. Think about that. With billions of stars in our galaxy, maybe 10% with Earth-like planets. Why did we only ever find tiny visitors until this ginormous one? The odds throw sand in the gears of the standard model. Science doesn't progress by sticking to safe answers. This object could be just weird, but the weirdness demands deeper peer review, open data, fearless asking. Loeb says it's our duty to search, not just for microbes, but for signs of technological civilizations. Behind closed doors, doubts whisper. But the broadcast message stays scrubbed and safe. NASA pushed a clean, clear narrative. It's a comet. One spokesperson stated bluntly, "We certainly haven't seen any technosignatures or anything from it that would lead us to believe it was anything other than a comet." Case closed, right? But that's not how the internet saw it. On social platforms, speculation blew up like wildfire. One viral post read, "NASA tried to track the object, and all they gave us was a great big smudge? You're telling me with the James Webb and Hubble up there, we couldn't get one sharp image?" Another user on X wrote, "If this was a rock from another galaxy, don't you think it'd be a little more chaotic? Everything about this feels orchestrated." Others pointed fingers at funding politics. One thread accused NASA of burying anything too extraordinary to avoid controversy that could threaten their congressional budget. If they admit it's weird, they risk becoming the aliens people in front of Capitol Hill, a former NASA contractor reportedly commented in a now-deleted post. And then there were those who turned to deeper conspiracies. Some claimed the object was actually tracked weeks before the official announcement, but data was reprocessed before public release. Amateur astronomers in Brazil and Hungary reported seeing the object days earlier, yet were allegedly told they'd miscalculated trajectory. And remember that nickel-to-iron anomaly. Radio silence. No follow-ups. No peer-reviewed papers. Just awkward footnotes and the soft shuffle of papers being filed away. Why this level of control? Because when anomalies pile up, the easiest solution isn't curiosity, it's containment. NASA's strategy seems clear. Calm the narrative, frame it as natural, move on. Jets, dust, nickel, unusual conditions, ecliptic alignment, just a fluke. But at what point do flukes stop being accidental and start becoming suspicious? Because here's the truth most won't say out loud. If this object really is unnatural, or even just unexplainable, it shakes the entire scientific model we've built. And that's not something governments like to admit on live TV. As Avi Loeb puts it, science doesn't grow by sweeping weird data under the rug. It grows by asking what that weirdness means. One final question. Are we ready for what we might find? We've walked through NASA's reveal, Loeb's skepticism, the anomalies, the narrative crash. The universe might be handing us one of its greatest puzzles, or maybe we're just early observers of something we can't yet interpret. Either way, you don't want to look away now. Because on December 19th, when ground-based telescopes and space telescopes flood us with new data, this story will get louder. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, if you're ready to question the official story and dive deep into what the cosmos might really be saying, do this right now. Subscribe to our channel for daily videos that pull back the curtain on space, science, and the unknown. Trust me, when the dust settles, you will want to be here. See you tomorrow, and until then, keep looking up.